What's going on, everyone? It's Blandon here again from EFTV. So here's my post-Charm Jungle Cup. We had 17 people, which to us was actually a great turnout. We're so fortunate that some of the top players from another city decided to drive up for the comp. And quick shout out to the Hamilton crew, Crazy Sushi, Emma and Angelo, Braden and Lisa Leaf. Thanks for driving up. And yeah, we just had a blast together. We also had one player that drove around 2.5 hours down to Auckland to play, so shout out to him as well. So let's jump right into the team composition. I ended up running an almost identical roster as I ran pre-Wiggly. So I had the standard Vigoroth Venusaur, but no Noctowl. Now pre-Charm, the role of Noctowl was to dominate the bugs and the grass. But with the rise of Lantern and Wiggly being far more prevalent in this meta, it made sense to drop it. So Heracross, hopefully I said that right, it's actually enough to get that job done, but it also gains the matchup against Wiggly. Heracross made a lot of sense. Instead, I replaced Noctowl with Beedrill. The reason why? It gave me more threat to the popular picks such as Wigglytuff, Vespiquen, Venusaur, and as well as Vigoroth. That's 4 out of 6 of most rosters. Now this next slot, I kept my Alolan Graveler. I did run Lantern for a while, although it does fill the electric role very well. The potently positive matchup that A-Grav had against the bugs and Noctowl was just too addictive for me. Also, by bringing the Beedrill into the roster, it meant my team is now 4 out of 6 weak to Noctowl. So A-Grav became an anchor for almost every line that I played. Now lastly, Heracross. Why? If you forget everything that I said just now, just remember this one thing, this one lesson that I learned. To win consistently in Jungle Cup, you must have a reliable hard counter for Vigoroth in every combo of 3 you play. Again, to win in Jungle consistently, you must have a reliable hard counter for Vigoroth in every combo of 3 you play. The key word being reliable. When Vigoroth has a slight energy advantage along with help of piggybacking, it is almost invincible. That means winning the lead can very well means you're worse off. If you're running Venusaur, Beedrill, Venomoth, and even Wiggly as a hard counter for Vigoroth, if you switch in just a tad slow, you could be dumping 2 shields to stay ahead or prepare to lose the switch advantage. And so when the team is shieldless, Lantern and Forrestress will reign. So what would I rate as a reliable hard counter for Vigoroth? The only 2 Pokemon I would rate highly as a reliable hard counter for Vigoroth are Vespiquen and Heracross. Hence I bought one of them. And the biggest hole I see currently in majority of the post-Charm roster is that there are far less of both due to Wigglytuff being a massive threat to them. Again, if you forget everything, to win in Jungle Cup consistently, you must have a reliable hard counter for Vigoroth in every combo of 3 that you play. So I would suggest bringing Heracross or Vespiquen on your roster. Without further ado, let's jump into the matches. So in the first match, I'm up against Kazuto, and as you can see, pretty standard line here, and he decided to not run Venusaur, instead replaced it with Wigglytuff. And my gut feeling is he's gonna run very meta-centric lines such as the Vespiquen, Lantern, and Vigoroth, or the Wigglytuff, Vigoroth, and Forrestress, which I'm quite prepared for, and I decided to start with the Beedrill because I have 4 out of 6 positive matchup. So Vigoroth is going to be my safe switch here. If it was a Noctowl or Forrestress, I'm going to switch into Vigoroth straight away. So it's a positive matchup for us starting with Beedrill against Vespiquen. Here I am trying to see if I can land the Sludge Bomb. And that was actually my first time using the new mechanics. It literally, I woke up and the new mechanic was live, so it was quite tough, and it was great because as soon as I woke up, ValorAsh is like, hey, we're gonna put up this video. So he actually showed me some of these before I went on to the match. So very good there. We were able to land that Sludge Bomb, and that puts us well ahead against Kazuto. And here we're up against the Lantern. It's still a positive matchup for us, and he decided to shield that Sludge Bomb, which was a good move. I mean, I thought he might not, but here we go. Vigoroth comes out and it makes sense, but it's going to be pretty tough for him because now I have an energy advantage. He's going to try piggyback off me on this Body Slam, which is fine, and we're going to shield it. We're going to be able to get off a second Body Slam, and we're going to piggyback off him. So important thing is, yeah, I mean, you can go for a first Body Slam first, but as long as you're doing the piggyback on their Body Slam, then you sort of neutralize that scenario. So here Lantern comes out, and I decided to use Graveler as the shield, and just to finish it off with a Rock Throw. So that's GG round 1. So in round 2 I decided to go for the sacrificial swap line, and we're up against Forrestress, so it's a positive matchup for him if he goes for the double shield. So as soon as he decides to swap into the Wiggly, luckily I already have the Venusaur here. So it is a pretty positive matchup for us. It's going to be very, very tough for Kazuto to actually come back from this. So he takes the second Frenzy Plant, and here comes the Forrestress. It's going to be able to farm a ton of energy, but that's fine. We're going to just do as much damage as possible. And one thing about Wigglytuff is that, you know, if you make sure you bring a hard counter, it's not actually that scary. And so then if you hide a Vesper Queen or a Heracross in the back, you're going to be able to sort of win the remaining matchup. Unless, of course, if Wiggly is bringing Noctowl. But in this case, Kazuto is bringing Forrestress, Wiggly, and Vigoroth, I believe. It's a very, very meta-centric line. So here, it's going to be very, very tough for him to catch up. And here's, he's going to be able to get one Body Slam. And we're going to be close to finishing it off. Oh, actually, it was quite close. But here, he's only able to get a Body Slam, so he's not going to be able to go for the Bulldoze. We should be able to tank that and finish it off with a Rock Blast. And it's GG round 2. So in the second match, we're up against Alola Hardout, and a lot of you might know her as Lisa Leaf, and she actually gets involved in a lot of the Pogo PvP community stuff. So really great to have a match of her. As you can see in her lineup here, I can use a Heracross to pretty much counter 4 out of 6, but I'm going to go for a sacrificial swap line here. I'm going to sacrifice my Forrestress, trying to bait out one of the Flyers or Vigoroth, and then I'll be able to sweep with Beedrill, and let's see how this works out. So starting off, let's have a look. We've got Vigoroth up against Forrestress, so that's great. We're going to be able to just farm up a bit of energy, and here I'm saving for a second Body Slam so that even if she decides to Heavy Slam, I'm able to just piggyback off that Heavy Slam. But because it is a one-turn charge fast move for Forrestress, it doesn't actually really matter whether or not you piggyback. But here I'm able to force a switch and Wigglytuff comes out, which I'm quite happy with because I've already got majority of the damage I need to get done on the Forrestress. So here I'm able to force a shield with that Body Slam and then come out with a Beedrill. And it's going to be quite tough for our opponent to catch up here. So here I decide to shield the Ice Beam. I'm just going to farm up this Wigglytuff. I believe Forrestress is going to come back out. We should be able to finish it off with an X-Scissor. Should I be farming this Forrestress? Maybe, but it was better to not risk a Heavy Slam. So here I'm able to output a bit of damage with the Sludge Bomb on the remaining Vigoroth with shields down. And he's got probably, yeah, a couple of Body Slams now, but yeah, I'm just able to get to that X scissor just before she gets to finish off the B drill. So in round 2, decide to go for a sacrificial swap line again. So as you can see, it's double counter. We're going to sack the Vigoroth, even though it's a negative matchup. So here I'm able to go for double body slam, and that's a tip from King. Back to back body slam, and luckily she decided to not shield one of them, so it's going to be very, very close. She might be able to just finish me off, but here she decides to go for the charm and not go for the charge move, and I'm very, very lucky to have 1 HP left. I believe her Wigglytuff didn't hit the attack breakpoint, that's why I'm able to survive it. So Vigoroth comes back out, we still got 2 shields, it's going to be very tough. I didn't actually need to switch there, but it made sense to save the Heracross for the Vigoroth matchup. And here, Heavy Slam, I decide to shield because that was pretty much going to close to finish me off. And here I know because Fortress won't be able to get any more Heavy Slams, I'm able to get 1 more Rock Blast. Realistically, I should have gone for the Stone Edge, but this should force the last shield. So here, Heracross is going to finish it off with just counters. And as you can see, I was able to switch out the Vigoroth, and if Wiggly wasn't prepared to lose 2 shields, it's actually really, really tough for it to, you know, take advantage of winning the lead. And so I was able to take that. So in the third match, we're up against Brah, and this guy is actually the first time in the tournament, but I know he's been practicing with Xlure 12 and Chopping Frogs. Both are my sparring partner, so I know he's got some solid training and he knows exactly what he's doing. Looking at his lineup, you can see it's very metacentric, but one thing that I know is that he is gonna look at my line and think Knocked Out is a very positive match. I know he doesn't watch any of the Elite Four TV episodes, so I'm gonna lead with Graveler and let's see how we do. So in this lineup, I'm gonna use Fortress as the sacrificial swap. So like, let's say if it was a Vigoroth that comes out, then I would swap to Fortress straight away, and they have to decide whether to stay in to do more damage or swap into their flyer. So here I got the lead advantage here. It was Knocked Out and he's forced to swap to Lantern, and now I'm gonna be able to win this matchup if it was 1 shield. So here I go for the Mega Horn, and let's see if our opponent decides to shield. He decides to shield both of them, which is fine. We're gonna shield ourselves as well, because now we're gonna be able to keep the lead advantage and have a close combat ready to go. So here we're able to land this close combat on this Knocked Out, and it almost takes it out. So it makes sense for Graveler to come back out, and we're gonna meet the Vigoroth. So I'm gonna go for the Rock Blast, but unfortunately I didn't undertap there, and he was able to get the Body Slam off. But that's great because now I know he's starting on neutral energy, and this Body Slam is not going to be very effective damage. Now I'm aware that he still has a second Pokemon, so he potentially might use it as a shield, and he did. So there I kind of just stopped tapping, and now we're able to finish it off with the Heavy Slam. So that's GG round 1, well played. You know, just try to use the Lantern as a shield for the Heavy Slam. In the second round, we're starting off with Heracross, and luckily we have a positive matchup here, and it's gonna force him to swap, and that was, you know, such a good timed swap there into Knocked Out, and it made me waste all my energy. Realistically, I should have just not, you know, get any of the damage off, so I can just farm it up with the Graveler. So here I think Psychic, it was just really, really tough to master, and because the mechanic is still new, you can see that Psychic did hardly any damage. I'm personally still having trouble trying to get the Psycho boost on the Deoxys. I opt for just running Rock Slide in my freestyle online. But here it's gonna be pretty tough because I still have 2 shields and I have a Vigoroth, and we know what happens when you have a Vigoroth and 2 shields. So I'm gonna go for a little bit more counter damage. And again, man, such great swaps. He's got good training from Chopping Frogs and Xlure. So I'm coming back out with the Heracross. I know I'm gonna be able to get off this Mega Horn, and it's gonna force him to decide whether or not he wants to use his shield, because I know the Heracross is gonna be able to just finish off the Vigoroth with just counter damage. So that's good game there, very well played despite losing the lead, and first tournament, GG. So in the 4th round we're up against Sunjin, one of my arch nemesis who smashed me in the Kingdom Cup. And as you can see, he's running a very standard line, but what's interesting is that there is no bugs except for double electric. So Heracross is actually going to do quite well here, and let's see how this plays out. So here I'm bringing the Fortress as my safe swap. The reason why is because I know he is very likely to bring his Fortress as well. So having the double counter is going to be very good against this team. So let's see what he decides to bring out. It's his Vigoroth. So we're able to swap in as a hard counter Heracross. It's going to be very, very tough once you do the Vigoroth switch into the hard counter. So here we're able to finish it off with just counters, and we're going to get off a close combat. Boom, and then here we go. We're going to get some counter damage, and he's literally on 1 health. And we're going to come back out with the Vigoroth, farm another counter. He was actually wanting to swap out his Lantern, but he was just not quick enough. He wanted to save his charge move until the shields are down, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So that's what actually happened. We spoke about it afterwards. So here it's going to be tough because I decided to just, tank some sky attacks and chip away at this knockdown. And I'm not going to use any shields here. I'm going to just get this heavy slam and then come back out with Vigoroth and 2 shields. So it's going to be very, very tough for Sunjin to catch up here. Yeah, I actually quite enjoy this new mechanic, I gotta say. It's very different. You're not, spamming away on the screen. So here I decide to go for double counter again. And this one is a positive matchup for Sunjin. So let's see how he decides to play. Now he might have to swap out if he is needing the Fortress for grass. He might be thinking, okay, if I have 2 Pokemon in the back that's weak to grass, he will need to swap out the Fortress. Maybe that's what he is thinking. So we actually swapped out the Vigoroth at the same time, so there is no energy advantage here. Now here I made a decision to double shield because I wanted to get rid of this Vigoroth and I didn't want to give him switch advantage. So here I'm thinking, well, he's got a Fortress in the back. It could potentially have a knockdown. So it is a knockdown and we're able to come back out with the Graveler. And it was super effective damage, so Fortress comes back out. It's going to be able to get this 1 charge move off. And we're going to just take this second heavy slam, which is fine because it allows us to just farm a little bit more energy on the A-Grav, and we're going to be able to. So here I did under tap. I was quite proud of it because I know he's quite close to his charge move as well. So that's GG round 2. So in the 5th and final round we're up against Kiwi Braden, who actually won our regional championship, and I know this is going to be a very tough round for me. And looking at his lineup, I know he's going to be bringing his Venomoth, as it is quite strong, 4 out of 6, and then potentially Noctowl as well, 4 out of 6, but I'm banking that he doesn't bring double flyers. So I'm going to go for the sacrificial swap to try and bait the flyer out. So let's see how this plays out. So I'm hoping to sweep with the Heracross and use the Fortress to bait out the flyer. So starting off, we're losing the lead and Fortress comes out. Now he can decide whether or not to swap out. So he decides to swap out because he wants to save his Vigoroth to counter my Graveler. So now Noctowl comes out, which makes a lot of sense. And I'm going to be able to get 2 Heavy Slams off. Now I'm not too sure, but like maybe I'm not hitting all the icons because I'm not doing as much damage as I expected. And now he was probably afraid that I could finish it off with Bug Bite, so he decided to expend that energy, which is fine because the Sky Attack isn't going to do much damage to the A Graveler anyway. So he leaves very little energy for my A-Grav to farm, and I'm in trouble here. So here he is going for the Body Slam, which is not going to be very effective damage, but it's still going to do a ton of damage to an A-Graveler. So I'm hoping he has no more flyers, and here I swap out to my Heracross, and my worst nightmare is the Venomoth. So he did end up running double flying, and I just couldn't believe it. So I'm able to get a Megalon Horn off here. And now he's got a ton of energy. I just need to shield everything that comes my way. So it's going to be a Poison Fang, obviously, and I know another one's going to come. Now, unfortunately, I'm at that range where I would just probably die to counters. And so here he's actually got 2 Body Slam, and so that's GG round 1. Damn, that double flyer. So I had to switch it up a little bit. I decided to use Beedrill. Now I still am going for the sacrificial swap. The reason why is because Beedrill, I know if I get 2 Sludge Bomb off, it's at least going to force 1 shield on the Noctowl. So now he actually ran Noctowl as a starter, so I'm able to finish it off. He swapped into Venomoth, trying to fake me out to make me swap there, but I just stayed in with a Graveler. But now I'm in a lot of trouble because he actually got his Silver Wind off, and that did a ton of damage, and I've got 2 Pokemon in the back that is weak to the Noctowl. So I'm like, okay, I can't waste any more time with the A-Grav out. I decided to swap into Beedrill straight away, and then I'm gonna try and bait a shield with this X-Scissor, and that's the only way I'm gonna be able to win here. Is luckily I got that shield bait off, and now I can go for the Sludge Bomb. That's not gonna finish off the Noctowl, but it's at least gonna, actually I'm able to just finish it off with 1 more Poison Jab. So out comes the Venusaur, and I know that Vine Whip is not going to do a whole lot of damage, so I'm able to just get 1 more Sludge Bomb and then come back out with Heracross to tank whatever comes my way, and then just finish it off with counter. So that's GG round 2, very, very close. And then so I ran A-Grav twice in a row. I think he might think that I'm going to run it for the 3rd time, so I decided to start with the Beedrill this time. This is the same lineup that I used in game 1. So out comes Noctowl, and I wasn't too sure what he's going to play, so I decided to just use the X-Scissor so I can think properly on what I'm going to swap out and not take too much damage. So sometimes I would use a low energy charge move. I just use it so I at least can see properly what came out, and then just sort of assess during the charge move on exactly what I'm going to use so that I don't take too much damage for that Pokemon. So out comes the Vigoroth. It's going to be pretty tough for him because now I'm going to be able to hopefully get one more. So here again, I was able to under tap, but I don't think I needed to. Anyway, under tap. So here, I still got one shield, I still got a Vigoroth, and a Beedrill. So I'm going to take this Body Slam. And now, out comes the Venomoth with full health. So this is actually quite scary for me, because Venomoth just does so much damage and is super effective against the Beedrill. So here he is going to use his Silver Wind. Luckily it was Silver Wind and not Poison Fang. So I'm very lucky there. I'm able to get this X-Scissor. And then here, I should have under tapped there, but Confusion was just too slow. So he was unable to get his charge move off, and I'm able to win that. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully there was something interesting there. And again, to sum up my lesson for Jungle Cup, I think it's so important to bring a hard counter or a solution for Vigoroth in every line that you play. And Vigoroth with energy and piggyback is very, very hard to beat. So remember that, and good luck with any more Jungle Cup that you guys might have. And again, see you guys next time for more Mirror Cup stuff.